Look around you. In business, in politics, in relationships, those who rise are not the kind, not the fair, not the emotional. They are the cold, the detached, the Machiavellian. Do you see it yet? Most people don't. They live inside illusions. That loyalty is eternal, that morality guides power, that if they are good, the world will eventually reward them. But Machiavelli destroyed those illusions centuries ago. He revealed the darker architecture of reality. That power is not about goodness, but about control. And unless you learn how this game is really played, you will spend your life as a pawn on someone else's board. Detachment and emotions. Think about it. How often have you seen the hardest workers overlooked while the ruthless rise? How often have you seen the loyal betrayed while the cunning thrive? This isn't a flaw in the system, it is the system. Machiavelli's genius was that he dared to write what everyone else wanted to hide. People are self-interested, loyalty is conditional, and fortune is ruthless. If you fail to accept this, you will suffer for it. If you accept it, you can rule because of it. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to Ruthless Psychology, a community for those who dare to see the world as it truly is, not as comforting fairy tales would have you believe. Now let's begin with the first Machiavellian law. You cannot control everything, but you must master what you can. Machiavelli compared fortune to a violent river. It cannot be stopped when it floods, but it can be redirected, channeled, even harnessed by those who prepare. Most people waste their lives fighting storms they cannot command. They demand fairness from a world that has never been fair. They chase the love of others who will abandon them as soon as it suits them. They grip illusions until the illusions collapse and take them down with it. A Machiavellian mind does not fight the river. It builds the channels. Take Julius Caesar. When he crossed the Rubicon, he knew the Senate despised him. He knew the nobles would never forgive his rise. Did he beg for their approval? Did he wait for their permission? No. He focused only on what he could control, the loyalty of his legions and his own willingness to take the ultimate risk. With those two weapons, he broke the Republic and built an empire. He didn't resist fortune. He bent it. Now compare that to the average modern man or woman. How many people waste years clinging to jobs where they will never be promoted, or relationships where they will never be respected, or systems that were designed from the start to exploit them? They rage at forces outside their control, and in doing so, they neglect the one fortress they could command, themselves. So I ask you, how much of your energy is wasted on things you cannot change? Machiavelli would tell you, cut it off. Cold, without hesitation. Detachment is not weakness, it is precision. You must slice away illusions like a surgeon cutting out tumors. Only then can you direct your firepower where it actually cripples your opponent, strengthens your position, or secures your future. Consider Elon Musk. Loved by some, hated by many. Do you think he cares? The Machiavellian truth is that his detachment from public opinion is exactly what fuels his dominance. When critics swarm him, he doesn't collapse in shame. He uses the noise as free advertising. He focuses on the only things within his control: engineering breakthroughs, market moves, strategic risk. The storm that destroys others carries him forward because he doesn't waste time trying to control the uncontrollable. And here lies the second Machiavellian truth. Emotions are leashes. Most people are slaves to them. An insult ruins their day. A betrayal haunts them for years. A failure poisons their spirit. Whoever learns to pull those strings owns them completely. Machiavelli understood this. Anger, fear, love, despair, these are not masters. They are weapons, masks, tools to be used when advantageous, concealed when dangerous. Think of Steve Jobs. His anger was legendary, but it was never random. It was calculated, weaponized to terrify teams into relentless innovation. At other times, he wielded silence, forcing investors or competitors to sweat under the weight of uncertainty. His emotions didn't control him. He controlled them, and in doing so, he controlled others. Ask yourself honestly, are your emotions weapons in your hand or chains around your neck? Machiavelli warned that once others know your soft spots, what makes you rage, what makes you love, what makes you fear, you have handed them the map to destroy you. To survive in the arena of power, you must become unreadable, cold, untouchable. This doesn't mean you kill emotion. It means you deny it the right to rule. Think of politics today. A candidate who lashes out emotionally at every insult looks weak, unstable, but the one who stays composed, who absorbs attacks with silence or a calculated smirk, radiates strength. People may not articulate it, but they sense it instinctively. The untouchable one is the one who does not break. And here's the uncomfortable reality. Vulnerability may earn sympathy, but it will never win power. The man who collapses under betrayal, the woman who breaks under criticism, they do not rise. Only those who detach, who calculate, who strike when the moment is right, these are the ones who dominate. So I challenge you, if tomorrow you lost your wealth, your status, your reputation, would you collapse or would you calculate? This is where most men fail. They attach themselves to possessions, to titles, to applause. And when those things vanish, as they always do, they vanish with them. But Machiavelli teaches a different way. See every external thing as temporary, fragile, alone. Then nothing owns you. If wealth is lost, you endure. If allies betray you, you adapt. If reputation crumbles, you rebuild stronger. That is detachment. That is sovereignty. So here is your first creed. Comment below. My emotions serve me, I serve nothing. Write it, repeat it, burn it into your mind, because once you detach from illusions, you cannot be broken by them. And in the next part, we will build the strongest fortress a man can own, not of stone or steel, but of the mind itself. Fortress of the mind. The strongest fortress is not built of stone, steel, or walls. It is built within the mind. Machiavelli warned rulers that a city with mighty defenses could still collapse if its leader's will was weak. But a ruler with an iron mind could survive betrayal, invasion, even disaster. The same law applies to you. You may have wealth, status, allies, but if your mind is soft, all of it can be taken in an instant. Think of Napoleon, exiled once to Elba, humiliated, stripped of power. Most men would have drowned in despair. But Napoleon's fortress was his mind. He calculated, rebuilt alliances, and within a year marched back into Paris while crowds cheered. A man broken in mind could never have returned. Napoleon did, because his inner fortress never cracked. Now contrast that with countless leaders who crumble under pressure. CEOs who resign in disgrace because of one scandal. Politicians who self-destruct after one betrayal. Soldiers who win battles but lose their nerve. They had resources, but no fortress inside, and they collapsed. Ask yourself, what does your fortress look like? Do you rule it, or do doubts, fears, and distractions already sit on your throne? Most people allow intruders to roam their inner citadel. Doubt whispers through their gates. Criticism from strangers carves holes in their confidence. Fear becomes the architect of their decisions. These men and women appear powerful on the outside, but within, they are conquered. A Machiavellian mind cannot afford this weakness. It must be impenetrable. How do you build such a fortress? With 3 pillars: discipline, silence, and resilience. First, discipline. The average man thinks what he feels and feels what he thinks. He is a leaf in the wind, but discipline gives you sovereignty over thought. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, ruled the greatest empire of his time while wars and plagues raged around him. He could not control the chaos of Rome, but he could control himself. His meditations are a manual in mental discipline. Crush doubts, master desires, cut distractions. This discipline gave him strength when armies faltered and cities burned. And in our world today, discipline still separates rulers from ruled. Think of athletes like Kobe Bryant, up before dawn, training while rivals slept. Think of entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos, relentless focus on long-term strategy when others chased quarterly applause. Discipline is not glamorous. It is silent construction of your fortress, brick by brick, thought by thought, choice by choice. Second, silence. The herd cannot bear silence. They fill every void with chatter, confession, weakness, but silence is the shield of the strategist. Machiavelli observed that men reveal more in nervous speech than they ever intend. The ruler who listens, who resists the urge to expose his mind, always holds the advantage. Consider how Warren Buffett speaks. Rarely, slowly, and with deliberate weight. Silence builds tension. It forces others to reveal themselves, to scramble to fill the void, to overexpose their motives. Silence is not emptiness, it is a blade. The less you reveal, the more power others project onto you. Ask yourself, when was the last time your silence made someone nervous? When was the last time you let others reveal themselves while you revealed nothing? Third, resilience. A fortress is tested in siege, not in peace. Your mind will be attacked by betrayal, failure, humiliation. Will it shatter, or will it hold? Machiavelli knew that fortune turns endlessly. Today you reign, tomorrow you fall. What separates survivors from corpses is resilience, the ability to rise every time the world believes you defeated. Think of Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison could have broken him. But when he walked out, his mind was sharper than ever, his vision clearer. His resilience made him a ruler when freedom finally came. Contrast that with men who collapse after one public failure, never to rise again. Resilience means you never tie your worth to temporary outcomes. Win or lose, you adapt, calculate, and prepare for the next move. The herd collapses when fortune shifts. The Machiavellian strategist bends without breaking, and here is the cruel truth. Most men sabotage their own fortress. They let emotions storm through the gates. They let critics set fire to their confidence. They hand enemies the map to their weaknesses, and then they wonder why they are conquered. You must not be like them. Build your fortress so strong that no betrayal can breach it, no insult can pierce it, no failure can shatter it. But remember, fortresses are not static. They are living structures. Every day you neglect discipline, a wall crumbles. Every time you reveal too much, a gate is left open. Every time you surrender to despair, a crack spreads through the foundation. This is why Machiavelli wrote for rulers, not dreamers. Because ruling begins with the mind. No throne, no army. No empire will endure if the man behind it collapses within. So how do you begin today? Start by identifying your intruders. Which doubts haunt you? Which voices of critics live rent-free in your head? Second, impose discipline. Decide which thoughts deserve space and crush the rest. Third, wield silence. Do not reveal every wound, every plan, every weakness. Let mystery become your armor. And finally, practice resilience. Expect betrayal. Expect loss. Expect storms. When they arrive, stand cold, calculating, and unbroken. Because once your fortress is built, you no longer fear storms. You direct them. You no longer dread betrayal. You anticipate it. You no longer fear loss. You endure it. This is the fortress every ambitious man or woman must construct if they dare to rise above the herd. Now here is your creed. Comment below. My mind is my fortress and nothing can breach it. Repeat it until it becomes part of you, because when your fortress is complete, you will walk untouchable. And in the next part, we will move from building the inner fortress to mastering the outer battlefield, the art of cold dominance. Cold dominance is not noise. It is not constant aggression, shouting, or showing teeth at every turn. That is how amateurs mistake power. True Machiavellian dominance is cold, silent, patient, invisible, until the exact moment it must be revealed. Machiavelli observed in The Prince that rulers are divided into two categories, those who command and those who obey. The herd thinks dominance means being loud, but the strategist knows real power is the art of making others move exactly where you want them, while they believe they act freely. Think about chess. The amateur lunges at every piece, wasting energy. The master manipulates the board until the opponent has no moves left, then strikes with surgical precision. That is cold dominance. But what does this look like in real life? Pillar 1. Mastering perception. Men are predictable because they are chained to desires, fears, and attachments. They expose themselves in every word, every reaction, every craving. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can touch." Look at modern politics. A leader who projects calm authority, even in chaos, commands respect. A rival who reacts emotionally, lashing out, looks weak, even if his policies are sound. Perception bends reality. People believe strength lies where they see it, not where it truly exists. Consider Vladimir Putin. Whatever you think of him, his cultivation of an image, silent, composed, unshaken, is Machiavellian. While rivals shout and flail, he projects patience. That perception alone grants him leverage because men fear what they cannot read. Now, reflect on yourself. What image do you project? Are you calm and unreadable, or transparent and easy to predict? Pillar 2. The power of silence. The herd fears silence. They chatter endlessly, exposing their motives, confessing their fears. But silence is not weakness. Silence is a blade. Machiavelli advised rulers to let others speak more. For the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Fools reveal themselves in endless talk. The wise man collects information in silence. Steve Jobs mastered this. In negotiations, he often said nothing, forcing others to fill the void, to reveal concessions before he moved a single piece. His silence became a psychological weapon. Ask yourself, do you use silence as a weapon, or do you rush to fill it, exposing yourself? Pillar 3. Timing. Dominance is not about constant motion. It is about striking at the exact moment when resistance is weakest and impact is greatest. Machiavelli compared fortune to a woman. Boldness is required. But boldness without timing is recklessness. Think of Alexander the Great. He did not fight every battle offered. He chose decisive strikes, calculated for maximum psychological and political impact. Modern example? Think of Warren Buffett. While others rush during market booms, he waits patiently for the collapse, then moves with massive force. Timing is the invisible hand of power. The impatient exhaust themselves. The cold strategist waits, studies, and strikes when the board is tilted in his favor. So, here's the challenge. When was the last time you waited for the perfect moment instead of lunging blindly? Pillar 4. Control over image. The masses crave approval, applause, love. But Machiavelli insisted, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Love is fragile. Approval is temporary. The same crowd that crowns you today will burn you tomorrow. Think of celebrities who spend their careers chasing love, only to be destroyed by a single scandal. Contrast that with someone like Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, his image is built on being untouchable, unpredictable. He does not beg for approval. That detachment makes him immune to cancellation. You must cultivate an image that is strong, enigmatic, unshaken by the mob. Fear here does not mean brutality. It means respect forged in unpredictability and strength. The herd respects what it cannot fully understand. Now, let's ask, are you chasing applause, or are you building an image that commands respect, even from enemies? Pillar 5. detachment from outcomes. The final pillar of cold dominance is detachment from results. Success will intoxicate the herd. Failure will destroy them. But the Machiavellian strategist remained steady in both. Michael Jordan lost more than 300 games, missed over 9,000 shots. Did he collapse? No. He calculated, improved, returned sharper. His detachment from temporary failure made him legendary. Machiavelli knew that fortune shifts endlessly. Today you reign, tomorrow you fall. But the detached man never breaks, because his identity is not welded to one victory or one loss. He recalculates, adapts, and survives. Cold dominance in action. Let's pull these pillars together. Imagine two generals. One shouts, threatens, shows his hand. The other remains calm, silent, unreadable. His soldiers believe he knows everything, even when he doesn't. His enemies fear his patience. His allies respect his detachment. When he finally strikes, it feels inevitable. Now imagine two executives. One constantly chases approval, talks too much, defends too hard, reveals too much. The other speaks rarely, projects calm, and never ties his self-worth to outcomes. When negotiations collapse, he adjusts without fear. Which one commands true power? Dominance is not about brute strength. It is about psychological gravity. The cold, detached, unreadable leader becomes a magnet. Others bend toward him, chasing his approval, fearing his disapproval. And that is the essence of Machiavellian dominance. Not forcing others, but arranging the board so that they willingly move where you want them. Here's your creed for this part. Comment below. I dominate through silence, patience, and control. Write it, own it, live it. Because once you master perception, silence, timing, image, and detachment, you no longer chase power. Power begins to orbit you. In the next part, we will explore how to weaponize the greatest resource available, the weaknesses of others. Weakness and betrayal. Power is not created from thin air. It is harvested from the flaws, fears, addictions, and blind spots of other people. The herd parades their weaknesses openly, like fools offering their throats to the blade. The Machiavellian strategist does not ignore this. He studies it, maps it, and uses it. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Both are weaknesses. Both can be manipulated. To weaponize weakness, you must first learn to see it where others see only noise." The architecture of weakness. Every man has pressure points. Pride, the need to be recognized, respected, validated. Greed, the hunger that can never be satisfied. Love, or more accurately, the terror of losing it. Fear, fear of failure, insignificance, abandonment. Push the right lever, and the man moves. Grip it firmly, and you own him. Julius Caesar knew this. He fed his soldiers pride and glory, convincing them that conquering Gaul was not just his ambition, but their destiny. They fought harder because he weaponized their pride. When he crossed the Rubicon, they followed, not out of abstract loyalty, but because their identity was welded to his success. In modern times, think of social media platforms. They weaponize weakness daily. Fear of missing out, desire for validation, addiction to attention. Billions of people wake up and hand over their time, their focus, their emotions to algorithms that understand their weaknesses better than they understand themselves. That is cold Machiavellian engineering on a global scale. Now ask yourself, whose weakness do you control and who controls yours? Influence through weakness. The first way to weaponize weakness is through influence. If a man craves validation, give it sparingly, conditionally. Let him link his sense of worth to your approval. If he fears abandonment, step back at calculated moments and watch him chase you. If he is greedy, dangle opportunities that keep him hungry but never satisfied. You are not forcing him, he forces himself. You are simply the architect of his cage. Consider Steve Jobs again. He gave his team glimpses of approval, rare, powerful, addictive. Designers and engineers craved it so much they drove themselves past exhaustion. He didn't need to chain them. Their own hunger chained them. Now think, whose leash are you already holding, and who has one around your neck? Unpredictability as a weapon. Weakness thrives on predictability. When people think they know you, they relax. When they relax, they expose themselves. The cold strategist denies them this comfort. He is unreadable. Machiavelli warned that rulers must never be transparent. Once your enemies know your true nature, they can plan against you. But if they cannot predict your next move, they are forced to overextend, to reveal too much, to make mistakes. Consider Elon Musk again. Love him or hate him, his unpredictability terrifies markets and competitors. A single tweet can send billions shifting. He may look reckless to the herd, but unpredictability itself is a weapon. So ask yourself, are you predictable or unreadable? Selective mercy. Sometimes the sharpest blade is not destruction, but mercy. To crush an enemy may remove them. To spare them binds them. Machiavelli understood that men who owe their survival to you become haunted by it. Gratitude may fade, but hesitation remains. They will think twice before turning against you, because betrayal would mean spitting on the hand that spared them. Alexander the Great mastered this. After defeating King Porus of India, he not only spared him, but restored him to power. Porus became a loyal ally, not because of love, but because of the psychological weight of mercy. Mercy, when rare, is not kindness. It is psychological warfare, the long game of weakness. Most people want immediate gratification. They want victory now, validation now, dominance now. But the Machiavellian strategist understands that the most devastating victories are ripened over time. If a rival is arrogant, feed his arrogance until it blinds him. If he is impulsive, lure him into reckless decisions. If he is greedy, let his hunger push him into dangerous risks. Then, when the moment comes, you strike, and he falls by his own weakness, not your force. Think of Lehman Brothers in 2008. Their greed drove them to take insane risks. Competitors waited. When the collapse came, those who were patient rose from the ashes while Lehman disappeared forever. That is the long game of weaponizing weakness. Betrayal, the ruthless constant. Now we must confront a darker truth. Betrayal is not an accident, it is inevitable. Loyalty is a fantasy, a contract written in disappearing ink. Machiavelli insisted that rulers must expect betrayal because men are loyal only until it no longer serves them. Julius Caesar knew this truth in the most brutal way, stabbed by Brutus, a man he considered a son. Yet Caesar's downfall was not the betrayal itself, it was his failure to anticipate it. The strategist is never shocked by betrayal. He expects it, plans for it, and turns it into opportunity. In modern politics, betrayals are currency. Advisors switch sides, allies become enemies, friends leak secrets for advantage. The amateur collapses under betrayal. The Machiavellian absorbs it like stone absorbs rain. It changes nothing. So ask yourself, if your closest ally betrayed you tomorrow, would you collapse or would you calculate? The management of betrayal. The weak betray out of anger, envy, fear. The strong betray out of calculation, at the right time, for maximum advantage and minimum risk. To weaponize betrayal, you must learn both sides, how to strike with it and how to guard against it. Never put yourself in a position where one betrayal can destroy you. Diversify alliances the way a ruler diversifies armies. Assume betrayal is always in the air. And structure your power so even treachery strengthens you. Sometimes, betrayal itself can be used as theater. When you punish a traitor coldly, without emotion, it sends a message. Loyalty is not unconditional. It must be earned, maintained, proven. Fear spreads faster than love. Here is your creed. Comment below. I turn weakness into power and betrayal into strategy. Write it, claim it, burn it into your will. Because once you master the weaknesses of others and the inevitability of betrayal, you become untouchable. In the next part, we will face the final trial, not resisting chaos, but bending it, turning fortune itself into a weapon. Chaos, fortune, and untouchable mindset. Chaos terrifies the weak. They curse uncertainty, beg for stability, cling to false promises of control. But Machiavelli understood something darker and more empowering. Chaos is not the enemy. Chaos is the field of opportunity. In The Prince, he compared fortune to a river. When it floods, it destroys everything in its path. The fool curses the flood. The strategist builds channels, bends the waters, and uses its force to feed his fields. That is the essence of Machiavellian mastery, not controlling the storm, but directing it. Fortune as the battlefield history is filled with men destroyed by chaos, and others who rose precisely because of it. Take the fall of the Roman Republic. Senators clung to stability, desperate to preserve tradition. Caesar embraced chaos. He crossed the Rubicon, seized the chaos of civil war, and turned it into an empire. Or consider Winston Churchill. In peacetime, he was dismissed as erratic, troublesome, even paranoid. But when the storm of World War II broke, he became the exact leader Britain needed. Chaos that destroyed others elevated him. Now think of modern markets. Crashes terrify the herd. They sell in panic. They collapse in fear. But to the strategist, chaos is fire sale opportunity. Warren Buffett waits for chaos, then moves while others drown. Chaos multiplies the power of the cold and cripples the unprepared. So here is the Machiavellian truth. You cannot prevent chaos, but you can prepare to feed on it. Ask yourself, do you curse uncertainty, or do you see it as raw material waiting to be shaped? Adaptability as a weapon. Rigidity is death. The man who says, I will only move this way, I will only win this way, has already sealed his fate. Fortune will break him because life does not obey his script. The Machiavellian strategist moves like water. He bends, shifts, adapts without losing his essence. If one path is blocked, he creates another. If one plan fails, he has 3 more waiting. Consider Netflix. Once a DVD rental company, when chaos arrived in the form of streaming technology, they did not resist. They adapted, reinvented, and devoured their competition. Blockbuster, rigid and arrogant, collapsed. Adaptability is not passive. It is aggression in disguise. It is the art of transforming every obstacle into a stepping stone. So here's the question. When chaos strikes, do you freeze or do you flow? Boldness in the storm. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the bold, but boldness without calculation is recklessness. The strategist studies chaos like a general studies terrain. He does not lunge blindly, but when the decisive moment comes, he strikes with fearless precision. Alexander the Great again is the perfect example. Facing armies larger than his own, he did not retreat into fear. He acted boldly, seizing the chaos of battle to break opponents psychologically before breaking them militarily. Boldness in chaos amplifies fear in rivals and creates loyalty in followers. Modern parallel. Elon Musk launching SpaceX rockets while competitors mocked. The boldness to risk spectacular failure in full public view transformed chaos into dominance. Each explosion, instead of humiliating him, became fuel for future victory. Boldness in chaos does not mean stupidity. It means acting when others freeze. It means daring to move forward when the herd begs for certainty. Detachment from outcomes. The final piece of Machiavellian mastery is detachment from results. Success intoxicates. Failure destroys. Both make men predictable, but the strategist remains cold. If fortune gives him victory, he does not celebrate blindly. He prepares for the backlash that always follows. If fortune delivers defeat, he does not collapse. He recalculates, waits, adapts. Consider Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments on the way to the light bulb. Each failure crippled ordinary men. For Edison, each was data, nothing more. Detachment from outcomes gave him resilience that fortune could not break. Now imagine applying this in your own life. Promotions, betrayals, profits, losses, they are temporary. If you tie your identity to them, you live in chains. If you detach, they become tools. The board shifts, but you remain unshaken, becoming untouchable. And this is the final step to become untouchable. Untouchable does not mean immune from attack. It means immune from collapse. Others will betray you. You expect it. Others will try to manipulate you. You study it. Chaos will strike. You bend it. Fortune will shift. You flow with it. When others rage, you calculate. When others cling, you release. When others collapse, you rise. This is the psychology that Machiavelli sharpened in The Prince and the Discourses. This is the mindset that made rulers feared, strategists unbroken, and survivors immortal in history. But remember, the herd will never understand you. They will call you cold, paranoid, ruthless. They will accuse you of lacking love, of lacking heart. Let them. For history is not written by those who lived gently. It is written by those who endured, adapted, and dominated. So now you must choose. Will you remain prey to chaos, chained by weakness, betrayed by illusions? Or will you build your fortress, weaponize the flaws of others, bend fortune, and walk untouchable? Here is your final creed. Comment below, I am untouchable, cold, unbreakable, sovereign. This is not just a phrase. It is a declaration of war against illusion. It is the oath of those who refuse to be controlled. And if you found power in this message, subscribe to Ruthless Psychology and join a community that uncovers the hidden rules of power, control, and influence, because the world will not reward your innocence. It will not reward your purity. It will reward your ability to see through the illusions and to dominate in spite of them. Chaos will return. Betrayal will come. Fortune will shift. But if you embody the cold mind of Machiavelli, none of it can break you. You will not only survive, you will rule.